Good morning and happy Tuesday. It's day 29 of Walk with Winston here at Kitty Hawk. The dawn is about to break over the horizon. And it's a beautiful morning. Oh my goodness. I know how I talk so much about how I love the dawn when I'm walking in Tampa and hearing the birds and breathing the fresh air, but to experience it this way, listening to the lap of the ocean behind me, and seeing nature wake up and the dawn about to break is just incredible. Well, happy Tuesday, y'all. I had another topic on my mind this morning when I got up, but then I woke up and saw my daddy-o sitting at the table, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've got to change the topic and do a tribute to my dad on his 82nd birthday. This is my last full day here in Kitty Hawk. I head out to Washington, D.C. tomorrow. But I'm so privileged and so thankful that I get to spend this birthday with him. It's just such a blessing. And I'm going to tell a story. I know Dad would tell it better. But I'm going to tell a story about him. And the topic today is how our identity, or the names that we call ourselves, really determine our destiny. And so this is the legend that I know about how I got my name and how Dad got his name. So I am a junior, first born of my dad and mom. And so my full name is Harry Winston Faircloth Jr. And my dad is Harry Winston Faircloth Sr. And so my dad's family was from rural Georgia. They scratched out a living. They had a lot of hardships growing up, and this was during the Depression era. And so my grandmother, the way I understand the story, is my grandmother wanted to change the family fortunes, and so she named her children after prominent, wealthy people. And so my dad was named after Harry Winston, who at the time owned the world famous Hope Diamond, and it's the famous jeweler in New York and London. And I don't know who his other siblings were named after, but it's a great story. And I thought, wow, when I heard the story of how Dad was named after Harry Winston, the diamond dealer, and how Grandma wanted to help change the family fortunes by the way she named her children, I embraced that story and really wanted to learn more. As I've observed my dad's life, he is a model of persistence. And this was going to be the original story topic of today, but I'm going to stick with this one for now. And so Dad, when he and Mom got married, and shortly after I was born, they moved the family to Miami in pursuit of a better life. And when Dad got down there, the job that had been promised and committed to him was no longer available. As I recall the story, he persisted without exception, and knocked on so many doors and went to so many places to seek employment, and would get a job for a little bit, and then for whatever reason the job didn't work out. Well, we lived in Florida for about a year, a very short time, and the house that they had purchased in Virginia had not sold, and so they were able to move back into that house. What a blessing that was. That was the house that my sister and I grew up in. and was our family home for, oh my goodness, probably 30 years or more. Is now the rectory for a Catholic church next door, or now a Catholic rectory in Virginia. But Dad is a guy who just never gives up. He has faith, he persists, and he's a guy that embodied his name because he turned around our family's fortune. He has incredible faith, and he also just lived his life in a way that I always wanted to emulate. And so he was an extremely successful salesperson. He's a very social guy. He loves people and loves to serve people. And so he was an extremely successful Coca-Cola salesman. And as a result of his prowess in sales, he was able to take my mom on a beautiful cruise that he had won in a sales contest one time. He ended up he stepped into a new career within his same company. And this was something that really influenced me too. He created a job out of nothing. He saw an opportunity to connect the Coca-Cola product with an emerging market of teenagers, and created a job where he would build partnerships with the local school systems, school buildings, and put in scoreboards and other equipment to enrich the athletic departments of the schools with, to save them money in exchange for getting Coca-Cola into a product into the school systems. He created that job out of nothing, and I remember having the coolest dad in the whole world when he had the denim machine that he took to all the different, which was a tripped out van with Levi denim material. You got to remember, this is the late 70s when that was the rage, and he built that job out of nothing and really made a mark in terms of his company's presence in so many school systems. But probably the thing that one of the things I most admire about him during that time too was how he took chances. He took risk. These were not super risky things, but he just felt conviction to take a risk and to see how it would turn out. He had dabbled in real estate with a bunch of his fellow Coca-Cola guys when he was younger. And about the time that they were considering retiring, Dad and Mom bought the cottage that we are staying at here in Kitty Hawk. And it became their home away from home. A couple years into being down here, local college had received the gift of a cottage 4 doors down. And so they put it on a blind auction. And because Mom and Dad lived on the block, they knew very well what the value of the property would be. And working with my sister, who was in the banking profession at the time, they put a bid on this cottage and got it at a very good price. Well, flash forward a few years, and they'd had it on the rental market for a while, and Dad just felt this conviction to put it up for sale. And this was just at the height of the market before the recession in 2008. And he sold it at the top of the market and secured a much better retirement for he and Mom as a result of taking that chance. So, did his name and his identity determine his destiny and turn around the family fortunes that Grandma had hoped and wished for? I'd say yes. And because I am Little Harry, I couldn't be Little Harry, that's why I had to go by Winston. I have embraced that story too. And I I am standing on Dad's shoulders in terms of creating resources and opportunities for myself professionally, and I have done very well because I've embraced that identity too. So as we talked about yesterday, fear can really hold us back. Fear sometimes gives us a false identity. And, what God says about us in terms of us being victorious and loved and cherished and His precious child, sometimes we don't embrace the true identity that He has for us. So I do believe that identity accelerates destiny. And I hope telling you the story of my dad and how he's lived his life and how maybe something as simple as how he was named greatly influenced the direction and trajectory of his life. He's up there on the cottage today, enjoying the fruits of his labor, the fruits of his life, and he has a very peaceful, loving, beautiful family in existence that he is enjoying today. Maybe in part because Grandma believed in him and gave him a name. With that, you guys have a great Tuesday. Happy birthday, Dad. I love you. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.